and all of us at NOMA, great pleasure to host the opening of our very first virtual exhibition, Healing and Community, Physical to Virtual, which has been beautifully curated by Patricia Miranda. And before I introduce our wonderful curator, I want to mention that our program tonight is supported in part by public funds from the New York City Department of Cultural Affairs in partnership with the City Council, and we are grateful for their support. We, like all of you in the arts community, worry about what arts and culture will look like in New York City as we weather this very tumultuous storm. And so it's so important that programs like these and so many others that are offered in our communities are supported and funded and attended. And so again, we are extra pleased that you are all here tonight. The support has really been overwhelming. And so to that end, and I want to say this at the start, I want to invite each of you to fill out a survey that we will make available at the end of the exhibition. I'd also like to remind you that we are at NOMA are continuing to work to think and to plan and to program. And so each week, please look out for our e-blasts and newsletters. And if you haven't already signed up, please go to our website and feel free always to communicate with us, reach out to us. We want to hear from you and we want to know how to best serve you. And now I'd like to move on to tonight's main event and briefly introduce our curator, Patricia Miranda, who has expertly stepped into this new role, new for us at least, of virtual curator, and has crafted a show that speaks very intimately to what we are all experiencing right now. Patricia Miranda, a longtime resident of Washington Heights, is an interdisciplinary artist, curator, and educator, and founder of Map Space Project Space and the Crit Lab, professional development and critique for artists. She creates objects and installations using found textile, books, and paper altered with handmade natural dyes and pigments as form, process, and ecofeminist action. And you may have had the pleasure of seeing her works most recently in the Women in the Heights exhibition in early May. I think that was our last time of getting together to look at works of art. She has exhibited widely and has held several prestigious professorships and residencies. And before I turn over the floor to Patricia, I wanted to quickly mention that we will continue our conversations around this exhibition because there's so many things to say about it on May 20th during our Curator's Walk, where we'll learn more about Patricia as she takes us again through this exhibition, offering a very close and detailed look at how she conceived the show and how she chose these works for these particular galleries. So please be sure to come back in 2 weeks. And I know we will all be left wanting more. So I hope to see everybody then as well. And now, without further delay, I'm so pleased to present Patricia Miranda. Patricia.
Hi, everyone. Super excited to be here. And I'm going to share my screen and go right into this and speak about this amazing group of works. So first, I want to thank Nidia and Joanna and Michelle and Noma for inviting me to curate this show. It's really a thrill and a privilege and an honor. And also want to thank them for the enormous amounts of behind the scenes work that is required to put something like this together. You would think that an online show would be simpler, and it's not. It's just different. It's just as much work. It's just different work. So we're all learning, and it's been amazing to work with this team. They're just incredible. So thank you. I want to thank the artists always. As a curator who is also an artist, I feel like I have an interesting perspective that's, both sides of this kind of fence, and I'm really so appreciative of just the efforts put in by the artists and all of the work required and the bravery that is necessary to be an artist in today's world and to apply to shows and all of that. So thank you for for doing that, for contributing and for applying. I'm really excited to be working also in Washington Heights. I've been in Washington Heights for more than 22 years, and I love it. And this is the first time I've curated in Upper Manhattan. So I'm really, that's an extra privilege. So what I'm going to do tonight, this is really, on May 20th is going to be an opportunity for me to go into much more detail about my thinking about which works I chose and how I put them together, because I like to think of an exhibition as both a group of autonomous works, but also as a conversation between the works and a whole new artwork in the way that the work works together. So what I'm going to do tonight is I'm going to talk about that in much more detail on May 20th. So for tonight, I want to go through the images. Now, there's 40 artists in this exhibition, so it's unfortunately way too many for everybody to speak tonight, but we're going to hear from some of the artists' the selection, and hopefully we can continue this conversation on social media. This will be recorded, so I hope you all will share it with people who were unable to come tonight, and we can continue to promote your work and to promote Uptown and promote this community, because I feel it's really important, and I think Noma is an amazing part of that whole thing. So I'm going to go through all of the work in the show, which I'm gonna move a little bit quickly, more quickly than I will the next time, because I want to leave time really for the artists to speak. So did someone have sorry. So I'm going to go through quickly. I'm going to talk more generally about the galleries than the work, because this is an opportunity for the artists. So I also want to encourage the questions to be directed really more to the artists this evening than to me, and I can, save your questions for me for the curator's talk. So I conceived of this as 3 galleries: community, connection, and reflection. And the reason for that is there are so many different ways that artists kind of, think about and translate and communicate and reflect upon our world. And I feel like all of those ways are incredibly powerful. And I wanted to divide it into a little bit different kind of moods or feelings, because I feel like, I don't know, I feel like it's really important. And I think those different perspectives are really important. So I'm not even gonna read this, because I really want to encourage you to go to the website and delve more deeply into the work and into the artists. Go to their websites, check out what they're doing. We also have 2 videos that we won't have time to look at tonight, but I also think that's an incentive to go to the website and check out the show. So, so I'm gonna just talk about the community gallery. For me, was a way of thinking about how artists look out to the world, out to where they live, out to their community, to their city, to their state, their surroundings, their environment. So the community gallery for me is a bit of an outward looking gallery, outward looking through an artist's eyes and at what they see and how they feel about this and their perceptions. So it includes, again, images like these, which are images of, what artists see around them, literally, looking out their windows, looking at their streets, thinking about the way those streets are reflected in their work, recreating ideas about the street, and what they see. So it's a very outward looking gallery. And it also is about, what we see, so quite literally, what we see outside of our doors, but also the people that we see, the neighborhoods we have. And the community gallery for me is a gallery that's a little bit connected to sort of, it's not an issue gallery, but this is the gallery where I'm looking at work where people are really thinking about the ways that these issues are impacting us as individuals, both personally, but also as a community. So it's like, we're all kind of thinking about our commonality in terms of this virus, in terms of what this means for us as a community. We're thinking about our heritage. We're thinking about how our heritage, represents us in the world and connects us with other people, and also makes us different, and how wonderful that difference is, and how that means we're part of a community. We're thinking about being in our homes. And I was thinking about, like, I can't hug my neighbor, but I know they're there. They're right across the window. They're across the courtyard. And we're all coming out at 7, especially Uptown. Uptown is showing up for that 7 p.m., I tell you. And so we're finding new ways to kind of feel connection in this isolated time. We're also thinking again about, how we respond to the ways that are basically our concerns and our cares for our neighbor and what that means for us as individuals. We're thinking about issues around the world, what this means for us. So again, the community gallery is really a gallery that looks out and brings back, thinks about the issues of the day, thinks about, sometimes the politics and sometimes all the aspects of our social and cultural life, and how artists, in their own unique way, will reflect and translate that and communicate it back to us and show us an aspect of that, of our world that maybe we didn't see, including like cooking jazz, that's awesome. And it can be expressive and joyful, and it can also be, filled with worry and angst and concern. And I think that's something that artists are uniquely situated to do, to kind of look at the world and see how it reflects back. And we're thinking about our bodies, but we're thinking about our bodies, like in this gallery, I'm thinking about bodies in relationship to the community of bodies, the world of bodies, and the ways that these bodies are being affected by this and this kind of time, which may change us forever. We're thinking about resources. We're thinking about how we use resources. We're thinking about our medical professionals. We're thinking about all of these things. And so this is the gallery that is thinking about the kind of issues that are both personal, but also ones that connect us much more deeply to our larger community, and the ideas of healing, how we might heal and how we might continue in this way. So that's my thinking about this gallery, this kind of outward looking gallery. And the last, and the places around us that we see that feed us and that connect us to the world. So that is the community gallery. And I know I'm going through these quickly, but I want to end the community gallery on this particular piece because I think it's so fantastic. And again, active and kind of calls to action. The community gallery is the call to action. The connection gallery is not unlike the community gallery, but it is the gallery that is about people, the people we love, the people inside our homes. And this is an amazing song that I had tried to kind of incorporate into this, but technology would not behave. And I hope you'll go and listen to this beautiful, beautiful song. This work is about the connections we have with people and the way that we are caring for one another and looking out for one another and the way that we are thinking about one another. So this gallery is, I think of this as the people gallery, right? This is the people gallery. This is where we are both with our families, in our homes, in our buildings, and in our communities and our workplaces, and how we also are coming out in the street and recognizing the people around us and the places and things that we see that both make us feel connected, that represent us as communities, and make us feel part of something that's larger than ourselves, which I think is what community is all about. And we have the future, right? The future of the world in this kind of joyful way. And we have representations of the diversity and complexity of our communities in all of these ways that artists can represent. And the kind of joys, delight, literally delight, right? And the kind of musical delight that we find in this kind of dance of people throughout our community. And I know this isn't a person, but I don't know about you, but living up here for so long, the things like the Little Red Lighthouse and the George Washington Bridge, they are like characters. They are like characters they're a part of my internal landscape. So I kind of felt like the Red Lighthouse was like a character, a personage in my community. And we embellish and we decorate and we embellish our ideas of people and in joyful ways. So I feel like the people gallery for me is a kind of a bit of it's a connecting and sort of joyful gallery that represents kind of the sort of breadth of who we are in Uptown Manhattan and how that reflects, our connection to the rest of the world. And it can be reflective and sort of thoughtful and joyful and always about people. So these beautiful images of people in our neighborhood that artists find, you know, a vision of how to see the world. And these gifts are just wonderful about the resilience of challenged communities and the dance that we do as humans, how artists can communicate something that can be hard and also joyful and celebratory. So that combination for me is what the People Gallery is all about. And our final image in the People Gallery is one that I think communicates a lot about connection in a very plaintive and beautiful way. And so that's the second gallery. And the third gallery is the Reflection Gallery, because one of the things that artists also do is offer us a space of peace, a respite, a space of contemplation and meditation, and a place where we can get quiet and we can listen to our inner self, we can commune with nature, we can replenish and re-nurture ourselves from, you know, the outward things that are kind of around us all the time. I feel like as artists, we offer all of these different ways of being in the world and reflecting that world back to us. So this gallery is much more quiet. It's much more, it's less narrative, right? It allows us to kind of come to these images with our own thoughts and with our own heart and our own mind, and find our own, what we find in these, and to stop and to be quiet and to be peaceful. And I feel like without that, you know, you need all of the galleries and you need all of them. If you only have one, it somehow doesn't kind of, you know, we're lacking if we don't have one. So I feel like every artist brings something really unique to the table and brings, you know, a perspective and a space of thought, a space of action, a space of contemplation to the world. And art is so essential for this. It is so essential. It is the imagination. Artists are stewards of the imagination, and the imagination is the place of hope. And without hope, without imagination, we don't have hope. And without hope, we can't imagine a better world. We can't create a better world. And so I feel like all of these aspects, I need this kind of work sometimes, and sometimes I need work that calls me to action, and sometimes I need work that connects me to other people, and sometimes I need work that allows me to stop and be still and be quiet. And to observe the world and the colors and all of these things of beauty that are around us and that will also sustain us. And so that is the Contemplation Gallery, the Reflection Gallery, I should say, which I will end with this piece by Zoe Marco, who is a 12-year-old artist who is making these wonderful things. And I thought that was incredible. The future artists of the world, we all need to support. And I think artists are a constituency and a community, and I think we can do amazing things when we kind of work together. So that's my super quick run through. Hopefully everyone, there was enough time to see the work, but now I really want to hear from the artists. So I have set up 11 artists, I believe, and if we have time and there's other artists here who want to speak, we can do that. So I'm going to turn it over. When you see your work pop up, please introduce yourself and say a few words about your work.
Ooh, hello.
Hello.
Can you all hear me? I'm unmuted, right? Okay. Hi, I'm Joanna Powell. I have lived in this neighborhood probably all my life, but I returned about 13 years ago to start again. So self-portrayals, which is actually this particular installment of the series, is a video. So you're still seeing a still of the work. So I'm going to sort of briefly talk about it because, in fact, the work is a video. So it's a moving picture and not a still image. And it's a series I've been working on sort of since I've been sequestered And it's set in and around my own apartment in Hamilton Heights. And I've known the building and the neighborhood and the block since I was a child. My mother, her mother, my father, my brother, cousins, aunts, uncles, all lived in this building, longtime family friends. More than 3 generations, I would say. And for my own part, they are still here. They are still present in the building. And so, as I said, about 13 years ago, I came back to the US and started kind of replanting roots. And as I was creating this particular episode of Self-Portrayals called In the Window, I really wanted to, I reflected on how I could see through the lens of this ancestral home, my family, and the passing of time. In the work, I'm both the viewer and the subject, looking both inward and outward. So it was kind of interesting, Patricia, that, you know, how you curated this gallery, because it really is looking in and out of myself and both sides of the lens. And it was really important to me to use completely the natural, that's in quotes, amenities of the apartment and of the building. So there, nothing was brought in to enhance anything in terms of lighting and the angles and this, you know, and I did it all on my phone. And you know, before we started, I was mentioned that because I'm a performing artist, dancer primarily, that's my basic background. Although I've over the years been passionate and connected to other art forms, photography, the visual arts in general, drama. And this piece in the window seems to be a culmination of all those art forms for me. And I was struggling when we first sequestered with, because I already had plans for a production this summer that was outdoors with many different people, dancing and choreographing. I was really struggling to find my own new voice in creating and sharing in this time of Corona. So
thank you so much.
yeah.
And I would encourage everyone to go to the website and watch the short film. It's very brief and it's worth watching. Thank you.
Great.
I gotta unmute.
Leticia?
Sorry, I got muted there.
I know,
Yeah.
it's a video thing. When you're not muted, the recording picks up you instead of the speaker.
That's fine. No, Joanna, thank you so much. And everyone really simply must go and watch this video and the other video, because it is really, really beautiful. It's very poetic. And I think the use of the natural light and the framing in the window is really powerful. So yeah, thank you so much. Okay, so the next artist, technology. Maria Fernandez, are you here?
Hi, yes, I am here. How's everybody doing?
Okay.
I'm from Inwood, and that's my park. I live right across the park, and I go there every day. That's my safe haven. So I go to the same spot, and I take different pictures every day of people walking through those 2 trees, and it's kind of like a 3-dimensional image that he creates. And I go every day and I sit there to read a book and take my photos. So I grew up in the community, and I love the park. And I think that we have to spend more time in nature. It's a beautiful park. We have so many in Washington Heights and Inwood that I think we have to go there to rescue our soul and mind and be healthy again after we've been, you know, self-contained for so long. And thank you for, it was an honor for, you know, accepting the piece.
Thank you, Maria. It's really beautiful. Thank you so much. It's an amazing image. Okay, so we're going to move to our next, and thank you for speaking. I appreciate it. Anna Shukeylo, I know she's here.
I am here. Hi, I am Anna Shukeylo. I am actually, if you're familiar with Cornerstone Studios on Bennett Avenue, I am one of the artists there. Some of you may have come through our studios during open studios that I believe are going to be most likely somehow online this year. It's usually part of the Uptown Art Stroll. But my work has always focused on the well, for the past few years has been focusing on images I saw around, or you know, pictures that I have imagined in the neighborhood. And kind of, I started out painting windows mostly, and then slowly have shifted into interiors, imagining what my neighbors are up to. And it's almost like this view of a fly on the wall. And I do use some reference imagery. A lot of it is invented though. I do use some models, so that's why in a lot of my paintings, you will basically see my husband a lot, but a lot of times the spaces are somewhat invented. But it's interesting because a few years ago, I was not far from this neighborhood. I was on 149th Street, but I was living in a garden, like a garden apartment. So first floor, no view, and I moved to a 6th floor apartment, and obviously in love with this neighborhood. And as my husband says, we're never moving out of here. But one of the things that has really struck me is how, you know, this feels like a smaller community. It doesn't, you know, when I tell people this is Manhattan, nobody ever believes it. And it's, this is a much tighter knit community. And everybody is in their little spaces right now, but you know, at 7 o'clock, if you notice, everybody comes together, and we do look out of the windows, and it's one of the big themes in my work. So here you see a person on their computer, as we are on one right now, and gazing out of the window, kind of connecting to the outside world. And then the second painting in here as well is a man gazing out of the window as well, kind of looking out and being part of, from the inside, being part of the outside. And you know, it's when I think one of the few neighborhoods and communities where you walk down the street and people actually say hi to you. I don't think that it really happens anywhere else in Manhattan for sure. So yeah, that's pretty much what I have to say.
So much, Anna, and we are having open studios. They are virtual. They're happening Thursdays at 7:30 on Zoom. So it's going to be an ongoing endeavor. So Patricia, who are we hearing from next? Thank you, Anna.
Thank you.
Gotta unmute. Thank you, Anna. I keep getting muted and unmuted. Thank you so much. That was great. And next.
Hi.
Hi.
Right. So thanks so much. My name is Batami. I think I actually saw a place that's maybe 2 blocks from my house in one of the images, which was great. I first wanted to say thank you for organizing this exhibition. A lot of times, projects like these become kind of uber global, where you have an online show and then a lot of people from all around the world participate, and it kind of loses a sense of locality. And so this type of project kind of manages to both have this, relationship with a certain space geographically, but also manages to kind of spread out in a digital way, which I think is amazing. And I want to thank you for organizing it. I'm a sculptor, and a lot of times I work with found objects. And one of the things that I look for in my work a lot is looking at the function of something and having that function kind of double down within the materiality of the work. And so a lot of my works kind of start with what my partner calls a hoarding and what I call collecting of things, either from the outside or from like secondhand places, or kind of hand-me-downs from friends and stuff. This specific carpet was given to me by a friend, and so it becomes this kind of the materiality of it starts to kind of play a role in what the eventual shape of the piece would be. A lot of my work kind of looks at function as an agency of materiality, and so the objects that are being used are mostly objects that are kind of like one-liner objects where the function is very specific. They can only be used for one thing, and probably mostly kind of cheaper versions of things. And so it's really interesting to me, especially in a neighborhood like Washington Heights, where there's a lot of objects kind of slowly getting gathered in the streets because they're being thrown out of homes, or people kind of, redo their bathtub or redo their bed or something. And so it's a real domestic space that gets, fragmented and then pushed into the outside. And so that kind of, tension between seeing kind of like a bedhead on the street, something that used to be a part of a very intimate space becoming part of the outside, is something that I really like. Sorry, I think I got muted, but I guess that's basically what I have to say. Thanks.
Thank you. That was wonderful. I think thinking about resources was something I was thinking about with your work, and I can speak more about it on May 20th. Thank you so much. Okay, let's see if we can get as many people in here as we can. Carmen.
Hi, thank you so much for having me. I am so excited to express. This is my new form of art. I've been doing it for a couple of months, and this is called yarn bombing. So I create yarn pieces and I leave them around the community so the community can feel a sense of love. It's something about fiber and therapy. It feels so good, and to see it in the community, which I've never saw it before. I mean, I've seen a lot of that I've been around, a lot of community fiber artists. It's like, this is like a whole new project that I've been seeing around my community. And I've been working with yarn for about a couple of years of my life, but I never express it out into the community. So this new form of art, yarn bomb, was new to me when I saw it, and fell in love with it right away. Not only that my grandmother, who is 85 years old, she stopped knitting and crocheting a couple of years ago. And I started telling her, like, I'm crocheting and knitting, because she's the one who taught me as a kid, her and my mother. And I showed her what I was doing, and she went right back to knitting and crocheting. And she's like, this is wonderful. And not only that, it's a whole community behind that. I've never seen something so big and so beautiful. and I wanted to be a part of it. And they were welcoming with open arms. I mean, this project right here also, Stay Home and Help Heal the World. I think it, you know, being in the situation, being at home quarantine, having, you know, family around, being surrounded by the same four walls constantly, it can bring some type of anxiety. And you got to make something of your time, either start writing a journal. So I decided to crochet these big pieces. And from these big pieces that I grew, I asked permission from the property owner that is in here. And she's like, put it up. And as soon as I put it up, I started to get like tags on Instagram and on Facebook, and people just expressing themselves how much they love to see this art form. And it really humbles me. And it's something that I just want to continue doing for as long as I can. But it's something that it helps the community. It helps bring smiles to people. It encourages people to be active in art. And yeah, that's it.
Beautiful, thank you. That was, whoops, sorry. That was beautiful. Thank you. Thank you. Okay. Whoop. All right. Our next artist, Linda.
Hi everybody. I'm Linda Bonilla. I am an interdisciplinary artist, and but my baseline starts with photography, and here is one of my documentary portraitures that it's one of my favorites that I've taken in a while. And as you can see, it's titled New York City Future, because of just going through this time right now, and working and being in parks and seeing how just being able to have access constantly to open space and green space, and seeing everybody from all walks of life in that same space, I kind of feel this kind of nostalgia at the moment. And this picture here was taken in the Bronx. It was at an opening of a brand new park. The park was a shanty park for years, and it's in mid-Bronx. And then it was through this program that the community was able to voice what they wanted to see, how they want to reimagine the park. And then as you can see, the day of, you just see the emotions, the color, and just the musings of happiness and love. And I just love how photography can just capture the individual as well as the whole entirety of community in this portrait, in this picture here. And yeah, I'm trying to think of anything else. I think New York City photography is a unique experience because of the fact that we are a multi-global local neighborhood, and having the opportunity to capture these kind of unique moments so that people can know that neighborhoods are not what old films or films that kind of that notes urban life as something really rough and challenging. It is, but this is the beauty of it. I hope everybody enjoys it. Thank you very much for Noma for inviting me to talk about this piece, and Patricia.
Thank you so much. Wonderful. Such a joyful image. Amazing.
Thank you.
Hard not to feel really nostalgic about that. Okay. Yael.
Great. I'm unmuted myself, and I will also show myself, I guess. So first of all, thank you. Can you hear me? I assume you can. Thank you so much for doing this exhibition and for the brief explanation of what you tried to create. And I look forward to hearing more about the ideas that connect the images together, because I think that as artists, a lot of the time we work alone, but exhibitions and community. It's what brings us together. So it's always great to see our work in the context of other works. This image and the other image, they're actually part of a project that I did many, many years ago. I think it was my first project at school when I went to ICP, the International Center of Photography. And the project was about older people living in New York. And because I think that a lot of time New York seems a city that doesn't stop. But to me, when I moved here almost 20 years ago, I was always amazed by the resilience of the old people that live here and how much they reflect in themselves what the city is about, their endurance. And at the time, I contacted people that were themselves caregivers, and I went to photograph them in their homes. And as anything else in photography, I think Linda said it as well, you know, it's an excuse to meet people and to hang out with people and just to see, to become part of their lives. So that was a woman, Elle, that lived in Harlem, and I think at the time she was in her 80s, and she just, you know, welcomed me in, let me completely shared with me what her life looks like and the object in her apartment. And the amazing thing is that I'm still in touch with a lot of these people. So there is the other image that is only, I think, the objects of Robert. This is a couple that I think they celebrated their 91 birthday, both of them, a month ago. And, you know, they don't have internet, so I still connect with them by phone or by mail. And yeah, so when I thought of sending images to that community, given the situation we're in, given the population that is so vulnerable, you know, it just seems to be proper to just show them and so show how strong these people are. And that's what this work is about. I think that's that.
That's wonderful. Thank you so much. It's great to see all the people represented, and I think older people are sometimes not represented. So I appreciate that quite a bit. So, okay, thank you. Our next artist. And I want to encourage people to, if you have questions, type them into the chat for questions for the artists in particular.
All right, so thank you. First, I'd like to thank Patricia, Neria, and everyone at NOMA for this opportunity to be part of this healing and community exhibition. I'm grateful that my painting of the Little Red Lighthouse in our neighborhood is part of the exhibition. And I want this, I submitted this one thinking that this could be a good symbol, guide, and something like something that can connect us as we navigate and fight through this outbreak. I know we all want to get back to normal sooner or later. And to me, this, Patricia, you said it too, that like some things in our neighborhood are like people, right? So to me, I think when I was looking for a model and there are no humans around, I went down to the lighthouse and I painted it, right? So this is what the outcome of that day was. And I'm a portrait painter, so I don't have many besides people in my works. But my work is to remind all of us that the most important people in our lives are the ones that are right in front of us. And I think we all got to experience what that really means during this break, during this quarantine period. And at this moment, the most important people are obviously all of you, all of us. They're part of this meeting. Nice to meet all of you, and thank you.
Thank you so much. I second all that you said. It's
all
really
right.
wonderful to see everyone here. Really wonderful.
Great. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Oh, here you go. Oh my gosh. Am I on?
She'll tell you.
Okay. Do you hear me?
Yes, you're right ahead. Thank you so much. No, thank you.
Okay. Okay. My name is Masako Whipshaw. First of all, thank you for letting me join tonight in this exhibition. Me and my husband moved to Inwood last year. We really like it and amazed by beautiful parks around. And I've been painting for about 20 years, but this is my first time to join in New York City. So there's just a few comments for my paintings. I'm a little bit nervous here, so I'm just gonna go a little bit slower. Okay. I created these two pieces because I was overwhelmed by the vitality that flowers have, and I'm touched by the beauty which influences lives. The flowers seems to only embody the beauty of living, moment by moment, without inferiority complex, or a sense of guilt or negativity towards oneself. So, as it says in the title, glorify life makes you feel the same. I have another piece, glorify life second, is the same flowers, but from the different angles. Not only looking straight is the way to enjoy their figure, these two paintings give you a glimpse of graceful Japanese beauty by black and white paintings. Also how it's meaningful to enjoy our lives. Okay, that's gonna be it for me. Thank you so much for letting me talk tonight.
Thank you. You did wonderful. Really. Okay, just a couple more. Time for just a couple more, I think. Michelle can stop me, but we'll see if we can get a couple more in. Laura. Laura, can you hear?
Yes, I'm here.
Okay.
I'm sorry. Okay, so my name is Maura Mora Falfan. Maura Falfan would be in Spanish. And thank you, Patricia, and everybody that organized this exhibition. I think it's very necessary right now in the circumstances to be able to connect with others from the isolation that we're being forced to live right now. Anyway, this piece is titled Indio, which there's type of a character there. As you can see, like a face. I don't know if everybody can see it. My work tends to be more on the abstract end of the spectrum. The figure is sometimes comes through, as in this piece and other ones, but not usually. And the use of color, likewise, I use black and white only, and but color sometimes seeps in a little bit, as in this piece. So this one and the other one, Huichol, they're a little bit special. That's also partially the reason why I submitted them, because they're different. They're new for me. The use of color is a lot, and the predominance of the character's face is also new for me. And I don't know what else to add or to say. I would welcome questions. Would help me talk more.
That's wonderful. I hope even
hopefully there's some answers or from the public or questions I want to be asked. I would be more than happy to follow through that.
And thank you, Maura. I think we'll try and continue this conversation on social media with the artists and with everybody, because of course I wish we could talk for hours, but thank you so much. That's wonderful. Okay. Takashi.
Yeah. Can you hear me? I don't know.
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay, yeah. My name is Takashi Harada, and then thank you for Norma, everyone, for continuing support for the strong art community in this neighborhood, and then also Patricia having me on this show. And this piece is actually that's part of the series created 2 years ago, and I live in Inglewood and right next to the Inglewood Hill Park, and then I living in here. Then, but I actually started to join this art community in here like 3 years or so, and despite that, I'm whole my life is gonna be an artist. So then I walk through the this is the capture of the image I during my walk in the park. I usually collect the memories, other memories, and then I'm gathering those images in my head, and then express as my memory also. But that's actually that to make connection and then to reflect to the other viewers' memories. So I intentionally omit the details and then to make it a real images that I believe that makes it easier to connect viewers' memory inside memories, right? And then so that's gonna be my communication and the natures and the people's the communication with the natures. That I believe that makes them kind of people's inner peace, and then that individual peace will be if the whole world has a peace in our own, the whole world's going to be a peace. That's my belief. So that's going to be my intention. So yeah, that's it actually.
Thank you. Thank you. That's wonderful. That's wonderful. I'm hoping we can, I know we were going to end a little bit with some questions, but I think this is our last artist that we had lined up, and I think that will probably bring us to the end. Ellen?
Hi.
Do you want to say, whoops, oh, sorry. It's getting ahead of me. Okay.
Am I muted?
No, we can hear you.
Okay. Hi, everybody. It's wonderful to meet you all, and I wish I had a full screen so I could see everyone that is participating tonight. But I'm really enjoying meeting you. I'm a newcomer to North Manhattan, and I live down near Sylvia's restaurant, so right off of 125th Street. And I've been a painter all my life and a curator pretty much all of my artist's life. So I run a gallery that is now online called Odetta, but is also in my apartment. So someday I hope we all meet there too. This is called Seeking the Sound of Cobalt Blue, Blue Glaze. I'm very interested in having colors saturated to the degree on a painting that they would emit a sound. I believe that they can, and I work very hard to create a field that allows our imagination to wander and enter this environment and begin to relate our ears as well as our eyes to what we're experiencing. So this Seeking the Sound of Cobalt Blue is a series that I've been engaged in since 2014, but I've been trying to paint and make sound visible visible since 1981. I go to lots of live music. Something about being close to the stage and getting enveloped in sound is key to my experience that triggers my imagination as a painter. And then when it comes to painting, I just lose myself in it. What's interesting about this piece and related to health, we're all very concerned about our health right now, is that I used plastic cups all over the surface of this page. And I was thinking a lot about an earlier medical treatment that we used to use to remove illnesses and ailments from the body called cupping. So this is a painting that's directly tied to healing and thinking about cupping and removing toxins from the environment, which would be this page, the floor that the painting panel laid on, and really just referencing history, but also through color. So I hope that when you get to experience my paintings in person someday, that you'll get a sense of that healing and also that imagination that would make your ears tune in to what you see. That's it.
Thank you. So I'm gonna just go to this and
Okay. My name is Joanna Castro, and as we start winding down the evening, if anyone has any questions, I noticed that in the Zoom group chat, lots of compliments from the different artists to the different artists, which was actually really beautiful to see. We'll give it a few moments to see if there are any burning questions. Otherwise, we can continue the conversation as mentioned earlier on social media. So in case folks are typing any questions, again, I want to remind folks that Patricia's curator walkthrough is May 20th at 7:30. Please mark your calendars. You will be able to view it through Facebook Live as well as Zoom. Check our website, nomanyc.org. And also, please complete your census form if you haven't yet. As you know, it's done every 10 years, and it decides what resources our community gets. So it's really, really important, as these resources includes hospitals. You can complete the form via phone, regular mail, or online, my2020census.gov. And remember, the citizenship question is not part of the census. You can go to our website to check 3 PCA videos we have, as well as a coloring sheet. So I think Nydia will take it away.
Can I just say one thing before?
Sure, please.
I just want to say to all of the artists, I wish that we could have had time for all of you to speak, but I so appreciate you being here. You really inspired me so much. And I feel really moved by the locality, right? By the inspiration of all this work and the breadth of it and all of that, and the fact that it's all, you know, this sense of place that somebody had said, that's really powerful. And it's been a real privilege. So I look forward to connecting with all of you and to continue to promote. So put, hashtag the show and put it on social media, and let's connect and kind of help more people see this and, promote your work. So stay connected.
Yeah, and if I could just echo what Patricia and Joanna said, this was really special. It was sort of an intimate look at your work and your thoughts and your reflections and community and, so many of you talked about sort of working in isolation, but the need to connect. And I think that's sort of the artist's way, right? You know, we sort of are, you know, we internalize everything, you know, artists internalize things, you observe the world around you, but there is such a need to experience that in a very collective way. So this was really special to hear from all of you, and to listen to you. And Patricia, you know, thank you so much for your beautiful work and your careful bringing together of these artists, and of really taking this vision into these galleries and weaving them in such a meaningful way. I think it is really important. Let's continue this, because now the work is out. That was sort of step one, but that is only step one. And so to the extent that we continue these conversations, continue to connect, share them with our networks, professional and personal, and come back in a couple of weeks and just continue. These will be housed at NOMA, and so they will live on, and I think they will always continue to generate conversation. So thank you all so much for being here tonight. This was really extraordinary, and a wonderful opportunity.